bathroom close by. But lots of water. You know, most they say when we're born, we're about 80% water, and by the time most of us die, on average, we're somewhere down around 40%. And most wellness experts think that a lot of the disease is coming from dehydration and hypoxia, lack of oxygen, which is another of the essentials of life. So how do I have lack of oxygen? It's like you can take a drink to, you know, quell dehydration, but we're not breathing to treat suffocation, right? So we just breathe. We need oxygen. But the other way to get oxygen, how else can you get oxygen? What do?
Exercise.
Right. So we have to move to oxygenate the blood, which brings oxygen to the organs, to the cellular level. And then nerve supply. What do we mean by that? How do you get nerve supply? Well, we have the master system, right, and controller of the body. So we have the brain and the spinal cord. Without that, we already recognize that we can't have optimal function. We can't have any function, right? That's the first thing that develops in utero. So if we have interruption to that level of function, then we have disease at every level. Then the body is compromised. And we'll talk about how that happens. So we have the deficiencies and toxicities, and the toxicities are going to come in the form of the chemical stresses through poor diet, lack of optimal supplementation, especially these days where food is grown in a way that it's not nutrient dense because of the soil and the way they grow the food, let alone the modifications to genetically modified foods. Also, we talk about stress and those deficiencies and toxicities being manifested in three forms: the physical, the chemical, and the mental emotional. And I might even throw spiritual into the mental emotional side of things. The physical, easy enough, obvious. The physical stress is the falls, the car accidents. I would even say birth trauma. I've seen babies in this office born, they come in and they can't digest their food, they can't sleep. They actually might have some form of torticollis where their neck is stuck in a position they can't turn their head, and the mother brings the baby in and we adjust the baby. Not like I adjust some of you, a little different. But we adjust the baby very gently. And the body expresses itself then. We take away that physical interference to the joints that are irritating the muscles and nerves. Chemical, like the foods, we talk about the GMOs, the hydrogenation, the bleached flour. Does anyone know why they do that, by the way? Bleaching.
Bugs.
What's that?
Bugs.
Bugs, yeah, to kill the bugs. So there's lots of stuff that goes on, and that's a whole another class. The artificial stuff is really killing people. And there's lots of science to support that. It's not okay to eat. People say, well, if it was that bad, why would they sell it? Really? I mean, do you really believe that? I mean, I don't really have a lot of faith. I think they're doing it for a reason, right? To sell more product, right? To make money. So we have to be our own best advocates. Whole Foods, by the way, great store. So the mental emotional, this is funny. I was listening to, does anyone know who Joel Osteen is?
Yeah.
I happen to like Joel Osteen, and I don't want to get into religion today, but I like listening to him. I find him believable. So I'm listening to Joel tell the story of how emotionally and mentally, how stressed out he was. He called up, simple thing, one night he and his wife wanted to order out a pizza. He calls up the pizza place and he says, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to call and I'm going to tell them my number and who I am. Before they even ask, I'm going to help them out. So he says, the phone rings, the girl picks up on the other line and says, hi, this is Joel, and my number is 453, blah, 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 blah. And she says, listen, I'll let you know when I need your number. And he's like, I wanted to jump through the phone and just, and he's like, but I step back. I'm not going to let her ruin my night. So that's that mental stuff. That how many times a day does that happen? You leave here, you drive out of the parking lot, someone cuts you off, and you just want to lean on the horn or, whatever it is. But it's taking your energy, and it's taking good energy and turning it into bad energy. And you don't have to let that happen. So I love that, the thought that we have some control over our mental, emotional stress. Sometimes we're our own worst enemies. So those are the things that we can think about in a simple way that we can contend with on all these different levels. And I'll tell you a story, before I get into the spine and how this actually affects your spine and your nervous system. I'll tell you a short story about why I think this class is important, because this is simple stuff, but I think of all the classes we could have, it might be the most impactful when you own these principles, when you let it guide you in your decisions. In chiropractic, I feel like we have a special responsibility, and we're able to deliver a healthcare service that's a little bit different than other things that are out there. We're not here to treat the condition, but we're here to help remove the interference, remove the stresses on every level. And guided by the principles of chiropractic, that the body self-heals and self-regulates, the central nervous system is the master system and controller of that body. And then we have to deduce, if we're logical, that if we interfere with that system, the body self-heals and self-regulates at a lesser ability. Does that make sense? Okay? So, coming from that place, we say, we have a job to do. We have to teach people that and how to protect it, rather than worrying about getting the flu. And I have to get the flu shot to treat my body so then it can be strong enough so I don't get the flu. I just read a study about how bad the flu shot, another study about how bad the flu shot is. Another chemical stress. That's a whole other subject, but there's lots of things to think about. And a story that I want to share with you that highlights these principles and how if we live by them, we can change our own lives and be healthier. Is a patient came in one day. This is actually kind of typical at the face of it. She had excruciating back pain. And she had lived with it on and off for years and had gone everywhere. And she'd gone to all the medical doctors. She tried all the medications. She's had injections. I believe in this case, if I'm not wrong, off the top of my head, I think she had surgery. And surgery for the spine generally is not a good thing. You know, most of it's not working out for people. They call it failed back surgery syndrome. But she had a lot of stuff going on. She had a lot of pain. It wasn't going away. She came in here. We worked on her diligently, addressing these lifestyle things, helping her learn how to eat right, drink more water, start to detoxify, get her nervous system healthy. She did well to the point where she was off all her medication and was able to get back to the things that she loved to do. She shared with me how bad it got. And this message is what resonates with me and makes me get up, and makes me want to come in, and makes me want to do what we do. Because I want everybody to be able to live that life where you're not settling for being able to be, okay, and learn to live with it. She told me she had stopped being able to be a good mother to her son, her only child, because she couldn't get out of bed. And she became so dependent on drugs that she didn't even want to get out of bed.